Hello everyone, Chris here, and in today's video, I am going to show you the resume that got me an interview at Google. So right in front of me, I have the resume that I applied to Google with, and this was for the Associate Treasury Analyst position. And just to talk a little bit more about it and just to showcase it to you much more in details, I'm going to talk about this, but I'm going to first talk about the whole process when it comes to applying to Google. And the first thing that I'm going to talk about is the power of a job referral. So at Google, as many of you know, it is the top tech company in the world, with over 3 million people applying to the role each and every year. But unfortunately, only 1% of those 3 million tend to be selected for an actual position on an annual basis. So, how do recruiters have the opportunity to go through 3 million applications? The truth is, they don't. In order for you to put yourself out there, in order for you to ensure that your resume is looked at, there are a few things that you want to do, and I'm going to talk about them in today's video. And the first is to get a referral. Get a referral from a Googler, someone that is inside the company. And this will enhance your opportunity exponentially with getting your resume looked at. And the process is quite simple. And I'm able to go into details in another video talking about the power of networking and the power of obtaining a referral. But sticking on topic, referrals are something that is very important because when you receive a referral from an employee, you are able to apply to not one, but 3 different roles at Google within the span of 30 days. And when you have this, you are automatically put into a pile of applicants where you are guaranteed to have your resume and application looked at by an human being, by an actual recruiter, compared to an ATS system, compared to a bot that is automatically looking for keywords, right? So that is something that is incredibly crucial, and that is the first thing that I would recommend. The second thing that I would say is this: make sure that you are only applying for roles you are an exact fit for. And I cannot stress this enough. So oftentimes, if you are a young college graduate, fresh with your degree, you may be looking for roles, and sometimes you may see roles that say, oh, we need 2 to 5 years of experience. Now, oftentimes, we may look at these roles and say, this is an entry-level role. I'm able to apply to this. Well, unfortunately, that case does not apply at Google. In order for you to have a likely chance of getting accepted for an initial screening, you need to make sure that what is on your resume matches the job qualifications. It matches the basic qualifications and the preferred qualifications in that job description role. That is the first thing. The second thing is, and even though this does sound counterintuitive, especially maybe if you are a more established employee, apply to roles that are not, that are kind of under your pay grade, so to speak. And I'm going to talk about this more right now. So I have a or of course, obviously, I have a resume, but I have a mentor that works at Google, and he works in finance. Before he worked at Google, he was a finance manager at another company, and he worked at this company for 10 years. So he was an associate financial analyst at this previous company. He was a financial analyst afterwards. He was promoted to senior financial analyst, and after he was promoted ultimately to a finance manager, all within those 10 years, and he wanted to leave that company to pursue a career at Google. And he had to apply to Google as a senior financial analyst. He had to downgrade itself simply due to the fact that Google is so competitive with its applicants, and it has so many talented individuals applying, that he needed to ensure, in order for him to receive an opportunity to interview, to establish that rapport with a recruiter, he actually had to downgrade to apply to a position he knew he had all the qualifications for. And once he did that, he was able to apply, interview, get the job at Google, and he worked as a senior financial analyst there for a year and a half before getting promoted to finance manager, which was the role that he rightfully deserved from the beginning, because he was a finance manager at another role, at another company, rather. And it goes to show you this. Because of Google's competitiveness and because of how demanding these roles are, in order for you to play it safe, you want to make sure that you are applying to roles that you meet all qualifications for. And I had to learn this the hard way, because I had to apply to 9 roles at Google before I even received an opportunity to interview for this associate treasury analyst role. And that was because I was applying to roles that required 2 years of full-time experience. And I thought I qualified for that, even though recruiters did not think otherwise, because they said I had 2 years of part-time experience, not full-time experience. So the thing about the process is that it is very much so meticulous. Another thing that I would have to say is this. When applying to Google, your resume is what is telling your story. Your resume and having a referral backed up, pushing that resume, is what is going to tell your story. The cover letter will not tell your story. And even though this sounds almost too good to be true, the truth is after researching and connecting with over 1,000 Googlers over the span of 3 months, and having informational phone calls with individuals in HR and people development, reaching out to talent sourcers and individuals in diversity and inclusion, they all had one mutual thing that they stated. They said this: because there is an overarching abundance of individuals that are applying to roles, these recruiters do not have time to look at cover letters. They are in charge of making sure that so many individuals are getting selected for initial screenings, for mid-level interviews, for final round interviews, that they do not have time to read cover letters. They are strictly screening resumes, and they are usually screening resumes that have referrals. So that is something very important to note, that it is your resume and your resume only that is telling the story, right? The next thing is this, and this is where we are going to go into details when it comes to your resume. Make sure you quantify your resume. Talk about results that you've made. Make sure to incorporate numbers. And most importantly, with every bullet point, ensure that you are highlighting your accomplishments. Make sure you're saying a story with each and every bullet point. And I'll give you an example. Let's look at Travelex currency services. And I'm just going to highlight this bullet point just so we can make it easier to read. So one bullet point is this: worked independently and collaborated as a team member in a fast-paced environment to have met local and regional sales targets and surpassed them by 120 to 176% monthly, ranking in the top 5% of sales consultants. So as you could see in this long-winded bullet point, I wanted to make sure I said a story. I was able to highlight my accomplishments while making sure I quantified my resume. And this is the type of details that recruiters want to see when you are applying to Google, right? So what are some things that stand out automatically? Working independently and collaborated as a team member. What does that show? That showcases the power to work on a team. That stands out. Being able to be in a fast-paced environment. I worked at John F. Kennedy International Airport, and I worked with 80 plus customers each day. That showcases an accomplishment. Surpassing regional sales targets by 120 to 176%. It showcases the art of achieving and surpassing those achievements. It showcases your work ethic. And that is what they want to see. So if I were to scroll down even more, you were able to see what I mean by quantifying my bullet points and telling a story. Now, quantifying your bullet points could be adding a percentage. It could be maybe bringing more customers to a specific company, or maybe bringing more clients to a specific company or a supplier. It could be saving a team $1 million a year. That could be one example, right? These are all great examples as to how you are able to quantify your bullet points. And I was able to mainly do that in my experience at Travelex as a senior sales consultant and as a senior sales trainer, and at the Boeing company, where I interned as an estimating and pricing financial analyst. So these are all experiences where I was able to quantify my bullet points. And this is something that really helped me and made me stand apart. So as you can see, if you take the time to pause and unpause and look at this video, this is what really helped me stand apart when I applied to my role at Google. So just to recap, I made sure to quantify my experience on my resume. I made sure that each bullet point was highlighting my accomplishments, or at least saying a story about what I did in my role. I ensured that I had a job referral itself. Another thing that I ensured was this, and I feel like this is the icing on the cake. I used LinkedIn to reach out to other associate treasury analysts and individuals in treasury in order to get a better sense of what their day-to-day role is like. And this helped me tremendously because I was able to expand my connections on LinkedIn, and I was able to actually talk to two amazing individuals in treasury that really admired my passion and my diligence and my work experience. And they actually put in a good word and they said, hey, you know what? Christopher reached out to me. I think that he's an incredible person. He seems to have his head on his shoulder and he has this fantastic resume. If you are interested, let's call him in for an interview, right? These are things that can really make you go a long way. And this can help you stand out from a crowd, stand out from 1,000 people just applying to a role without any referral, without any experience. And finally, what I would have to say is this. Make sure the keywords that are in the job description are incorporated into your resume. So one thing about this associate treasury analyst role was they were very big on making sure that you had cash handling experience, that you knew about KYC, that you knew about inventory management, that you knew about mitigating exposure, that you had experience when it came to international currency. And because I had all of these experiences and because I was able to incorporate the language of what was on the job description and I transcribed that onto my resume, that was something that helped immensely. So this is what I would leave you with. Make sure that your resume is up to date. Make sure that it is quantifiable. Another thing too is make sure that it is neat as well. Ensure that you have your education experience. Of course, you have your name, your contact information, etc. I'm not sharing that just due to confidentiality, but make sure that you have your education, your major and minor, your relevant coursework, honors and awards if applicable. Also, one thing that I personally did that works for me, in order to catch a recruiter's attention, make sure to incorporate your skills, interests, and language in the beginning of your resume. That could automatically get the recruiter that is looking at your resume engaged. And they can see, okay, right off the bat, does this person have the skill sets needed to be successful here at Google, here in this role, right? And afterwards, you go into your work experience. Now, one thing that I would personally suggest for all of my recent college graduates that are out there, in order for you to, if you want to really make an impact and get into Google right out of college, which is incredibly hard, number one, you want to see if you could get into an internship program. If you are a little bit too late in the game where you're about to graduate and you want to seek a full-time, I would highly suggest only applying to roles that have the word associate in them. In general, any form of job description, at least in the US, that has the word associate in the title of the job role tends to be for recent college graduates or individuals that have 1 year of work experience or internship experience. So that is what I would personally suggest. I hope this video helps you. And if you would like to get your resume reviewed and critiqued by me, and if you would want to walk through your resume together to have a resume that looks just like mine, please feel free to sign up for a one-on-one session via my Calendly. The website is in the description. I have very affordable rates, and I would love to be of help. And I've been very fortunate and lucky enough to have mentored people and helped them get internship and full-time roles at companies such as Amazon, Microsoft, Boeing, JP Morgan, Morgan Stanley, Bank of America. The list goes on and on. So if you are interested, please feel free to take a look at that description. Please like, comment, and share with your friends if this video compelled you, inspired you, or if you feel that it could be of help to someone else. Take care, have an amazing day, and be well.